Hi, I'm Patricia Grabarek.
And I'm Katina Sawyer, and welcome to the Worker Being Podcast. Today, Patricia has an article for us that she has prepared that I believe you will find fascinating. So, Patricia, do you want to give us a high level of what you're going to be talking about?
Yes, we're going to be talking about pets at work. There's very little research on this, so that's something to keep in mind. So we'll talk about that a little bit, but it is an interesting topic because a lot of workplaces allow you to bring your pets. It's becoming more and more popular, and then I think that there's some benefits around pets that are becoming more popular or more asked for and things like that. So I think it's a really interesting area that we don't know a lot about in the workplace specifically, but there is actually a lot of research on pets and health and stress and wellness outside of the workplace. So I think that there's a good argument that we should be looking at this at work, but we're just starting some of that work. It's very, very unstudied.
It's more of an unorthodox, maybe like topic area or something.
Yeah, exactly. So should be fun to dive into.
That will be fun. I'm excited to learn more about pets because I love pets, and I know no one will be surprised to hear that you picked an article about pets because we have heard much about the Schnoo since the start of our journey.
Little Nittany. Speaking of little Nittany, I took her to my uncle again last week because she's been walking funny, and she's got like arthritis now too. She's like an old little mess. It's so sad.
No.
But we bought her steps because that was the thing we noticed is that she couldn't really jump onto things, or she was having a hard time getting onto like the couch.
Yeah.
So we bought her these little stairs, and so now she like can get on everything, and she's like so much happier just from that one change, is just being able to like walk up these tiny little steps to get to the top of the couch.
But does she know how to like use them? Because like I found that like you put those out for dogs and they're just like, I don't know what that is. Like they don't understand that they're like supposed to use it. They're just like, cool. I'm like, I don't know why that's there, but that's not for me.
So what you're telling me is that cats are smarter than dogs, because Nittany immediately knew what to do with it.
She did?
Yeah, it wasn't even like a question. She was just like, oh, all right. And she just walked right up.
That's funny. No, yeah. No, dogs are just like, you want me to do what? Like they don't understand.
She did.
She
didn't get the down part right away. Like she would climb up and then jump down, and I'm like, that's counterproductive.
Like,
but
poor form.
Yeah, but now she does both. So it took her like a day to get used to the idea of going down the stairs, which isn't that much. So it was pretty fast.
Well, you know, I think that sounds like a vast improvement over what I've seen, because the dog world doesn't really enjoy the stair idea very much. You have to really force it on them.
Well, they should get on board because it's better for their joints.
You're right. I know. I know. If only I could communicate these health-related benefits to an animal, but I cannot.
We have like a podcast for dogs. Like, this is why you should go up steps. But I don't know. We'd have to bark at them or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's not a podcast that we can make. We don't speak that language.
No, but somebody out there should.
They should. They totally
Maybe
should.
Donnie can do it. Maybe you can help Donnie set it up.
He has too much to say already. I don't want to hear him talk any longer. That would be terrible.
Oh, man.
We don't need him continuing to speak.
It's okay. It could be Donnie and Nittany. They could do a joint one. It'll be a cat and a dog, so they can communicate to both. Whoa.
Two perspectives. And they can do like one of those things that's like this versus that. And like they'll always pick the opposite thing, and they'll like get in fights about it. And people will call and like weigh in which one they think is right.
Exactly. That's exactly what it would be, and it would be epic, and it would be number one on the iTunes charts immediately, like the day it comes out.
That's true.
Totally.
Clearly this is necessary, so it's happening.
So we got to do it. It's time to get rolling.
This is just happening now. That's all there is.
Definitely. Oh my goodness. Well, besides our pets starting podcasts of their own, what's going on with you?
Everything's good. Today was like kind of a really busy day, and I'm actually like so glad that it's your article day, because I had to listen to myself talk for like 800 hours because I had to record all this audio for an online class.
Oh, no.
So I had to do like 30 like 5 to 10 minute recordings of myself today.
Wow.
And it's just a lot of hearing yourself talk. Like, I know in the class that they'll be broken up by week. So they only have to listen to like, 10 to 20 minutes of me talking each week, but all in succession. I was just like, oh my God, these kids are going to be so sick of hearing me say stuff. I'm like, oh my God, this is so terrible. But I know that when it's broken up, it's going to be better. But for me, I was just like, blah. So I've been talking into a microphone so much today.
I'm amazed that you're doing so well right now then, because I feel like if I was, I'd be like, don't talk to me. I'm not speaking a word. I'm just going to sit here in silence for the rest of the night. But I think you're somewhat more extroverted than I am.
Yeah, that's true. It is weird to like be talking, and we do it every week with recording the podcast, but at least I'm like talking to you. But like, it's weird to just like sit in a room and like speak to yourself for like 3 hours. It's just,
that's a long
really
time.
Bizarre as a process. So yeah, hopefully they turn out okay. But anyway, so I spent a portion of my day doing that today. So now I feel like the microphone's growing out of my mouth. Like I'm becoming part of the microphone.
Oh, I just had a really weird image of that, and that is not pleasant.
It's pretty gross, actually. Don't really think about it. I think you should not.
I will not. I will try not to.
I think you should not think about that. What about you? How's everything going with you?
Good. Things are good. I actually had a calmer day than you, so that was kind of a nice Monday. Like I rolled into Monday relatively peacefully. So that was really nice. I didn't have like a crazy amount of meetings. I had just the right amount to not make me really tired at the end of the day. So it was a good Monday. Trying to think what else is going on. I mean, not a lot. The weekend was nice and things are just smooth sailing. It feels good. This week is a relatively calm week for me, and then it's gonna pick up, and I feel like the next 3 or 4 weeks are gonna be really, really busy. So I'm kind of enjoying it. I'm like, let me just slowly roll through this week and then take a breath before the craziness ensues.
Yeah, sometimes I do that, and like it's a really bad idea when you have so much like stuff going on and you start like, oh, let me see what I have to do this week, and then you're like, well, let me look at next week, and then you're like, and the next week, and the next week, and then you're just like, oh my God, I can't get all this done. I'll never get all this done, and you start like freaking out. That happens to me all the time where I'm just like, oh my God, and then I'm like, okay, let's like backtrack. You're now in December. Like you don't have to get all this done right now. Like you don't have to get all the things that you just scrolled through done today. Like you do have like another 2.5 months to complete these things, but you start like looking and you're like, yeah, and I got to do that. I got to do that too. And you're just like, oh my God. So actually on times like that, our podcast is helpful for me to remember, because I'm like, just take it a day at a time, slow down, close your eyes, do a little mindfulness, like try to get yourself back in the present, because that future projection can be like a problem sometimes.
It can be pretty aggressive. Yeah. No,
It is.
I totally get it. I have tried not to look too far. So I just know that next week I've got a lot going on. I know in my head that I have a lot going on the next few months, but I'm not looking at it. So I have apparently more self-control than you in that sense, because I am not doing that, thankfully.
Yes.
So I'm just letting myself enjoy the slower week as
That's
it is
good.
here. Yeah.
You should do that. I like that idea. That's a good idea.
I know. But let's talk about pets again.
Let's
Nittany
talk about
just
pets.
walked up the steps and is sitting next to me now, so she's ready for the conversation. I
It's
hope
like
Donnie
that
is
song.
too.
This just like went into my head. Let's talk about pets, baby. Let's talk about pets.
Yep, that's exactly how that song went. No changes in the lyrics at all.
Yeah, that's why our podcast is rated G, because we sing "Let's Talk About Pets" instead.
Oh boy. Well, Nittany just rolled her eyes at you, and you know.
No.
I
How
know.
rude.
She did not think that joke was funny at all.
She's like, please.
Ugh,
We've all
like-
heard that one a million times.
She's like, Katina, like, I don't want to hear this. I just want you to bring your contact lens cases back so I can play with them.
Oh, yeah. That's true. Nittany used to love to play with my contact lens cases when I would stay at Patricia's. So,
Yeah.
well, we'll see what happens next time, Nittany. After you gave me attitude, maybe I won't bring any contact cases for you.
Oh, that's going to be good for you.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually helpful
You're
to
just
me.
gonna hide them from her.
That's true.
Man.
Okay, so
Anyways.
let's talk about pets. So
Yes.
what is the name of the article and who are the authors and kind of what's the high level on it?
Yeah. So it is called Critters in the Cube Farm. Perceived.
What?
I know it makes you laugh too.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Can you say that again?
Oh God. Okay. Oh, I don't know if I can say it.
Okay, you don't have to say it again. We all heard you. It's fine. You can proceed.
The second part of the title is Perceived Psychological and Organizational Effects of Pets in the Workplace.
Okay, that makes more sense to
I'm
me.
still having like a fit of laughter.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
it
cube
is
farm is just a weird thing to say, so I wasn't expecting that to come out of your mouth, and I was just like really confused by it.
crying. Okay.
Okay.
Calm down. But yeah,
All right.
it is really weird. I definitely had a reaction when I first saw
Yeah.
it, and I didn't think about the fact that maybe I should have warned you ahead of time.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I'm sure it's a good article, and I hope that the authors don't get mad that we're laughing at it, but it's fine.
I mean, it's a cutesy name, right? That's the
It is.
point. It's supposed to be
That's
catchy.
true.
Oh man,
That's true.
Okay,
You're right.
Well, I'm gonna stop crying now.
Okay.
Whew. Okay, it was written by Wells and Perrine in 2001 and published in the Journal of Occupational Health Psychology.
Oh my God. This is a worker being first. We can't get through an episode. The cube farm did us in.
I can't. Okay. Whoo. Breath. Okay.
We can take a mindful minute.
Okay. All right. I got it.
Wait, what? Okay, I'm going to ask you another question. What year was it published in?
2001.
Okay, 2001.
Yes.
So actually, it's been quite a while since this paper came out.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting
makes
to
me
hear.
a little sad, to be honest, because I feel like the topic is interesting, and I wish more people had kind of gone into it.
Yeah.
And they haven't, but that's okay because we're going to talk about it. We're going to inspire people to look into the research, and maybe there'll be some cool stuff that comes out in the future because I think it is an interesting topic.
Totally.
I mean, I love pets. You love pets. We love pets. But
Yeah.
I think that people, like a lot of places, are letting you bring your pets to work. So
Totally.
and that's really what this is all about. So it's all about pets in the workplace and how do people feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
And the main things to think about with this study are around the fact that people believe that having a pet in the workplace helps reduce stress. So that's like already a really interesting thing. That people are very positive in general about pets. They believe it helps to reduce stress. They believe it makes a positive impression of the company, that it creates a pleasant diversion from work from time to time. It makes a friendly work environment. So a lot of positive things that people are thinking about when they think about pets at work.
Yeah. So generally, people are very into the idea of having their pet around them in the workplace and feel like it should have positive impact.
Yes. So let me first talk about some background research because I think that's really important because I think I mentioned this earlier that there's not a lot of research in the workplace. So this is kind of that first stab at it. You know, what results from these kinds of early studies can be taken with a grain of salt just because we don't know a lot. There's not a lot that's been replicated, but there's a lot of research on pets outside of work. So I think that this connection into the workplace makes a lot of sense. And the findings are similar to things that you would find outside of work. So
Okay.
I don't understand why it wouldn't continue to work that way, right? So it's just, we don't have a ton of information on this yet, but I think it's a really interesting way to translate some other research that's done outside of this space. So let me tell you a little bit about that research because I think it's really cool. So first of all, and I'm sure a lot of people know that there's research out there. I mean, I see it all the time on like news, right? They talk about these kinds of studies on the news all the time, that pets can help reduce blood pressure of, elderly individuals, children in stressful situations, just general population. Both the presence of a dog or a cat can do this. So really most of the research looks at dogs and cats specifically.
Yeah.
Not like
Lizards.
fish or lizards or something. It's really more the more traditional pets, I guess.
Yes.
I would argue that if you have a bond with your lizard, it's probably good too, but who knows?
Yeah, that's true. I agree, but there's not enough people who have bonds with lizards to study it, maybe.
Yeah, that might be true. But so that's really cool. The lowers of blood pressure. So we're looking already at some wellness related things. With kids, there's a lot of research on how pets help with their emotional development. They are provided with unconditional acceptance from their pets. Pets teach them how to care about others. Pets help improve children's self-esteem. And there's also research in the elderly population on pets. So pet owners that are in the elderly population, they tend to be happier. They tend to be more independent, and they're more optimistic than not pet owners.
That's interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of like really positive things associated with owning a pet and being around pets. So that would lead you to believe that being able to have pets around you in the workplace probably leads to some of these things too, right? You have a little furry friend to help you out when you're in a stressful situation.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously we both work from home a lot, so we have pets in our workplace, which is another interesting place the research could go. It just hasn't, in terms of like remote work, because that's a different component. But having pets around is probably helpful too, because you get some sort of interaction and bond when you're at home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's interesting because it seems like there's been a decent amount of work done on the impact of pets on like, I don't want to say like vulnerable, but populations of people who might have like maybe smaller social circles in general, like older people or children. So the workplace literature is kind of interesting because it shows how, pets might play a role in kind of the years of your life in between where you're kind of like trying to earn a living and balancing work and life and all this kind of stuff. Like that might relate more to the idea that they're like helpful with stress relieving or something of that nature as opposed to like just pure companionship or something like that.
Yeah. Well, that's what this study shows. So this study was actually done on 193 employees that completed a survey, and they came from 31 different companies that allow pets in the workplace. So kind of a big group of companies, actually.
Yeah.
This was all done in Kentucky. So some of these companies are pretty small, so that's something to keep in mind. There's probably some things that need to be done to understand how this looks in a big company versus a smaller organization, but a big sample of organizations, so they probably are handling things a little bit differently. And they did a survey that looked at what do people think about in terms of different functions of pets, right? So is a pet something that allows you to present your self in one way, right? If you bring a pet to work, are you using this pet as a self-expression? Like they kind of talked about like, how you decorate your desk and stuff. Like, this is who I am. Well, if I bring my dog, then I am a dog person or something like that. Another function of pets is the social function. So it helps to provide them interaction with the pet, but also social interactions with coworkers and clients and people that might be walking by and might be interested in the pet. So it helps to build relationships.
Sure. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. I think that's interesting too, from like, maybe people that are less social generally, or maybe less extroverted, that this could be like a tool to help them.
Yeah. To like get conversation started, like an icebreaker almost.
Exactly. And there's been some study on this pets being used as icebreakers in like children with relationships with other children. So there's some precedent for that. They also talked about pets serving as an empathetic organizational symbol. So really showing a positive impression of the company, helping foster some sort of company identity of being like warm and welcoming and, accepting, those types of things.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. It kind of is like a symbol that the workplace is more like work-life balance friendly too, since bringing your pet to the workplace probably allows you to focus on other things. Like you don't have to worry about getting like a dog walker, or you don't have to worry about getting home right at 5 o'clock or whatever to let the dog out. Like it allows you to have a little bit more flexibility in your work day.
Exactly. And then the final thing is that stress reduction function. So helping people cope with stress, improving their mood. You may have a bad meeting and you come back to your dog, and your dog is like super happy and excited to see you. I mean, that's going to help boost your mood compared to just having, coming back to your desk with nothing to greet you but emails.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I think that makes a lot of sense too, from the stress reduction piece and helping improve mood.
Yeah. So these components are things that people believe help them, right? About pets. Like these are things that people, purposes that people see pets serving for them, but not necessarily things that they're demonstrating actually exist in the article, or they are.
So they surveyed people on this, and this is, yes, people's beliefs. So the reason why they came up with these 4 different functions of pets is based on previous research, right? So these things have been found in other research around pets. And so in theory, that would also be found in the workplace. And people agreed. Most people, the number one thing they thought pets did was the stress reduction piece. The number 2 thing was the social function. So those are the 2 most important, which makes sense to me. I think those are more obvious than like, I want to show off I'm a dog person. I think it's way more obvious that they're helping me feel better, and they're helping me talk to people and interact with my coworkers in a different way.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me too. And I think that those are some things that I would think about if I was bringing a dog to work, is that it would be kind of fun to, have the dog interact with my coworkers, and also that it would be fun to like take a break and be able to play with the dog, or, have the time to maybe like walk the dog or do something that will help you to kind of like relieve the stress associated with your job.
Yeah, definitely. So that is one of the pieces of the survey, right? They did that. People were able to rate and see what they thought about those different functions. But then they did ask people around some outcomes. So how does having a pet, impact your satisfaction at work, your health at work? Do you feel healthier because you're in a work environment that have pets? And they did find that people generally felt like having the pet in the workplace impacts their health. And then people that have pets in the workplace also felt more satisfied with their work environment. They felt better job satisfaction. They're more productive. They thought they were more productive, at least. They felt more committed to the company. They felt like they were more creative, or that creativity was something that, was valued in the organization. And then they also talked about attendance, so that they felt like they, are more likely to show up to work because of this.
Yeah. I mean, I think that those things do make some sense, because especially if you're a person that's attracted to a company that has this kind of policy and you're utilizing the policy, like, part of what's happening is that people are saying like, this is a policy that I appreciate and it helps me to better balance my work and life. So I'm probably less likely to leave the organization, and I'm more likely to show up because I'm not concerned about like a pet being sick or a pet being gone for the day, or like I'm being gone for the day, not the pet's being gone for the day, that I'm going to be gone for the day. And so the pet will be alone for the day, or things like that, probably to individuals who I'm guessing the people in the sample would probably be higher on like their, need for this kind of policy, or their wish that the company would have this kind of policy since they're using it. It probably matters quite a bit to people who are able to do it.
Yeah, that's actually a really great call out, because they did look to see like, how did this work for all different types of people? So people that actually brought their pets in, people that had pets but did not bring them in, and then people that did not have pets. And everybody across the board generally felt positively about this policy, but the people that benefited the most were the people that brought in their own pets, right? They're the ones that were the most positive. Everyone is pretty positive, but if I brought in my pet, I am more positive.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's interesting. And I think that that's good to know, because I would imagine that some hesitation for workplaces would be like, well, we could tell people that they're allowed to bring their pet, but what if we have someone who's like really scared of dogs? Or what if we have someone who like hates pets, and then now they have to come in and deal with these pets in the workplace from other people? Like, I think a hesitation would be like, oh, what does that do for people that are not fans of pets? But it seems like in this particular sample, everybody was kind of cool with it, and it was just the people that really wanted to use the policy and were using the policy were benefiting the most from it.
Exactly. And they did, so they did have these open-ended questions, and they did some qualitative research too. And generally, most people felt very positively, right? They had them answer questions like, what do you think are the benefits and what are the detriments? Most people had a number of benefits. There were a few people that did say none. So they didn't see any benefits. And then on the flip side, though, when they looked at detriments, over half of the people said none. So that was really interesting. And then the main detriments that came out were that they could be a distraction and fur and cleanliness issues.
That's
so not that
interesting.
fear piece, which they did mention that, like, there was, I think, a couple people that said, you know, maybe clients that are afraid of dogs or something wouldn't appreciate it if they came into the office space. But they didn't mention it from like a coworker perspective. They mentioned it only from a client perspective. So I wonder if it's almost like a self-selection thing, right? I know that they allow dogs in the office, so I don't want to work here. I don't know.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, I guess that could be the case. I'm not really sure about that one. That would require maybe some more digging.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think there's a lot that requires some more digging. I think the main takeaways here are that employees generally from the sample, they think that pets are good for stress reduction. They think it's a very positive experience to be able to bring their dogs into the workplace. Those that are actually bringing in their dogs seem the happiest with the policy. They seem to be more satisfied, committed, etc. So there's a lot of preliminary work here to show that it does have an impact, but we just need to dig in further, right? We need to understand, how does this impact people that don't like pets, these non-pet owners that, we're positive. They seem positive overall, but we're just not as positive and didn't see those types of benefits. Are there other things you could do for that population? But I do think it's really important because there was a recent article about benefits that people want. So across different generations, different industries, etc., like, what are the types of benefits that people care the most about? And they were really looking to see, like, how does it change by age, or they're saying generation, but really we know, right, that maternity leave, for example, matters the most for people that are in that age group versus somebody that's, maybe in their 50s and 60s. They don't care as much about maternity leave. So that's obviously not going to be at the top of their list. But what they did find in this survey that I saw, that the bottom generations, like the youngest generations, so millennials and Gen Z, something was coming out that's never been seen before, and it is pet parent leave. So I've heard of companies having this, but it's actually coming out as something that people want. And so if I get a puppy or a kitten or something, I want to be able to take a week or two off to make sure that they're comfortable in their new setting, etc. So pets seem to be on people's minds a little bit more than maybe they have in previous generations.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. And it's probably something to do with the fact that, in past generations, people kind of got married earlier and had kids earlier. And so there weren't as many, single people that owned animals, living by themselves, as there are now, or there aren't as many people who are just even thinking more broadly about what work family benefits could look like. But because there are so many different benefits that people are pushing for today because they see that companies can offer them, but also there are just more alternative ways of living that are more popular that require different kinds of supports than organizations provided before, like the traditional single earner, like male breadwinner family is really, really, really rare. And so people need different kinds of supports in general, childcare wise and otherwise. But I would imagine that, some of this is coming out of the fact that there are a lot more people who are part of the workforce that have pets to take care of and don't have a lot of other people to rely on. And so it would be really helpful to be able to not get a puppy and come back and realize it ate all your stuff, or ate something that it wasn't supposed to, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would imagine that would be helpful.
Yeah. And I've seen pet insurance is also kind of upticking. I'm seeing that companies are doing that more and more. Like my mom's work is doing that now, and which is nice because obviously that's a big expense when pets have when pets have arthritis or whatever.
Yeah.
They need some support, and it can cost a lot of money. So being able to provide your employees pet insurance does take that kind of barrier out for them and allows them to not, be struggling because a pet has a need. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
And I do think that you're right. I think that there is something to be said about the way that people are living their life earlier on, and to the point of, potentially not having a single earner also. Like if you are in a couple, you probably both are working, and it might make sense that you take some time to be able to train that animal, because it's not just if I'm single, but if I have a partner that's also working. And then maybe that actually can translate to this type of bringing in pets in the workplace situation, kind of like this study. Maybe that's increased even further because of that too. Like maybe if that continues to increase, and that need for that can help, right? Because not only, okay, well, I want to train my animal in my home, but if we're both out of the house all the time, maybe it makes sense that if one of our offices lets us bring our pet, then that's a great option that we can do, so that we can, make sure that we have enough time with the pet as we need. And so I wonder if that has increased as well. Like, I don't have any numbers on that as to whether or not the instances of bringing a pet to work has increased, but I'm sure a lot has changed from 2001 when the study was published, and there hasn't been a ton of work anyways. Like, I would just love to see more work in this space and see, how people perceive this, what the understanding is. Like, maybe you don't need both pet parent leave and bringing your pet into the workplace. Like, maybe having that leave is something that people will be happy with, and then you can alleviate the issues of people that don't like pets or whatever.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting to see like how all these different types of benefits can help, because to your point, like, life is really different today, and the way that people are balancing their lives, or the types of things they have to balance, is really different. Yeah. So it's a good thing to support your employees the best that you can, and it'd be great to be able to give employers more information as to how they can do that.
Yeah, definitely. Completely agree. And I think that, there are lots of different benefits that used to sound really weird that sound normal now to people, because people realize that they're helpful. People want them. They value them. They work. So this may be a new wave of things. And even though in this study, it's just like a perception study that people feel that they are this way, and future research might be able to look at like, is that actually true, or is that just a perception? It means something that people find it valuable from a benefits perspective, and that they feel that they're more satisfied and more committed as a result of it. Like, that does make a difference, because if people believe that they're more satisfied and committed because of it, then they probably actually are, and they might be more likely to stick around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, perception is huge. Like, that is a lot that we know about in psychology, right? Lots of things that are studied are perceptions, and perceptions can really influence your behaviors. And, we talk about things like reframing, a situation that happened to make it more positive, and that makes you react and feel differently. And that's kind of the same thing here. Like, yes, while it is only perception has a lot of power. So I think it is critical to dig in deeper, of course, on the research side. But I think it's important for employers to think about this type of benefit, or these types of benefits, and maybe just including pets in the benefit spectrum at all, can make employees feel heard, feel supported in terms of their work and life.
Yeah, I think that's a good direction. And even though this is just like early on research, or a small amount of research, it would be cool to see other people take on this topic. If it's something that people are saying is important to them, it would be good to know, like, well, what are the impacts of that more broadly? So I think this is a cool area for future research, and definitely something for employers to start thinking about.
Yes, I agree. And I would love to hear anybody's stories of places where, pets are allowed in the workplace, or places where you have a pet parent leave or pet insurance, or any of those types of pet benefits. We would love to hear about it and hear your experience, and what kind of impact that has made in your workplace, or that you've maybe seen. So please reach out, and we'd love to hear your stories at workerbeing@gmail.com. You can find us on our website, which is workerbeing.com, and on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook at workerbeing. Thanks for listening. The Worker Being podcast is hosted by us, Patricia Grabarek
and Katina Sawyer, and produced by Allie Johnson.